Hey guys, today we are going to be analyzing the brand new episode 19 of season 4, Simpleman, as well as diving into my theories and everything that I took away from this episode. As while it may have seemed to be more of an underwhelming one, it definitely had huge foreshadowing moments. But as always, before we get into today's video, be sure to subscribe so you never miss the tea on the show you love. Now, let's get into it. So the episode begins with us seeing Marinette having to take care of not just Manon, not just Ella and Etta, but also Chris, which of course leads to complete chaos. And that's when we see Marinette offer some activities they can do that don't involve playing with the miracle box, including drawing, making necklaces, which I assume is where the beads for the lucky charm she gave to Adrian came from, and watching Ladybug and Cat Noir. And so just as Marinette gets everything under control, she gets a call from Adrian that he needs help repairing his angel wing for his photo shoot, and that's when Marinette pulls out this giant sketch that she has of her plan and all the necessary phases for her operation saving Adrian. And guys, after rewatching the episode, I couldn't help but notice how much of what she had written all happened, but of course in another timeline, and that being in Cap Blanc. Also, I couldn't help but fill with joy seeing how much the umbrellas and ice cream were mentioned in this episode. I just can't wait to see what Adrian's next ice cream is going to look like. And so Marinette goes through her list as to who she could ask to take care of the kids for a bit while she's gone, and one of them being her grandma, who goes to mention how she's currently in China and met a young girl who reminds her of Marinette. This has got to be referring to Faye. And speaking about Marinette's grandma, I found it even more interesting to see her appear in this episode, considering in one of my previous videos I theorized how knowing Simpleman has to do with her grandpa being akumatized, episode 21 being her parents akumatized, and now this episode having Adrian dressed as an angel, something Bafana was known to do to people. This could likely be referring to the fact that in episode 20, Marinette's grandma could become akumatized again, and if that happens to be the case, this only leads me to believe my theory of Marinette being akumatized in episode 22 to be even more possible. But in the end, Marinette ends up bringing the kids over to Roland's house, her grandpa, ultimately leading him to be akumatized into Simpleman for some other reasoning as to why he got akumatized back in season 3 into Bakerix. And so he's granted the power to simplify things, which was definitely the main focus and takeaway of this episode, because in order for Marinette to ever be able to confess her feelings to Adrian, she needs to let go of these convoluted plans and what she's always known and done, and simply use what she already has within, her voice. As the saying goes, nothing changes if nothing changes. And whilst Marinette is still learning that, the fact that she can acknowledge that and did so this episode is huge. And so back at the shoot, as Marinette is fixing Adrian's wing, he goes to ask her how he could thank her, and that's when Marinette begins to float around in the pink clouds and actually somewhat gets her point across as to wanting to go out with Adrian, but of course begins to second guess herself and stumble upon her words. But speaking about Adrian's shoot and himself being dressed as an angel, notice how this is the third photo shoot just from this season alone. And if we include the one from season 1, when looking at them all side by side, you'll notice a common trend between them all is that he's not only constantly dressed in white, but 3 out of the 4 times feathers are included. And while I don't understand what feathers have to do in these commercials with what he's promoting, when I think of feathers, I think of a Mux and or the Peacock Miraculous. But I realized that I never had actually searched the meaning behind a white feather, nor what an angel in white symbolized. And when I searched the two, an angel appearing in white symbolizes purity, and the color white itself having to do with innocence, cleanliness, and a new beginning. Now, when I hear the word cleanliness having a relation to white feathers, this instantly reminds me of purified amux. And the fact it even even goes to say new beginnings, such as granting life to a new creation. To me, it almost seems that in a way, Gabriel uses these commercials to emphasize his feelings, all that he's hiding, and that we've yet to discover. And of course, we can't forget this iconic line Shadow Moth goes to say, and it being, "It's hard to adapt when we are prisoners of the past," which was really interesting to hear because while we've always known his motive has been reviving Emily, throughout this season, more than ever, Gabriel's main objective has only been fading, and that was strongly conveyed in episode 14 of this season, Senti Bubbler, after he was even forcing Alia to hand over her Miraculous. But as always, what do you guys think? While I know many felt disappointed with the episode, and I myself can admit it was a little more underwhelming than I had anticipated, it was still a good episode, and especially now, since we're getting closer and closer to the end of this season, every episode is constantly foreshadowing new things to come. And so lastly, I just want to give you guys an update as to where new episodes currently stand, as well as some new info we received on the Awakening movie. The other day, Miraculous Mexico on Twitter had actually shared that Angela, a VP of Consumer Products at ZAG, had announced that the Miraculous Awakening movie is expected to come out sometime in April of next year, which is so exciting because as you guys know, the only Awakening movie release date we currently have only applies to German Miraculous, and that date being on July 28th, 2022, which is still amazing as it's our first ever date. But if the movie is expected to come out in April, that's even better because it'll be a couple months earlier and it'll be here before we know it. And as for new air dates, the only one we currently have applies for episode 21 of season 4, Dearest Family, which is set to air from Disney USA in English on October 23rd at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. However, while it's yet to be confirmed, I have a feeling Gloob will likely air the episode before that date, and that we could possibly be expecting a trailer for it or a new episode in general from them within the next upcoming week or two. But as always, be sure to let me know your thoughts and theories down below, and subscribe so you never miss the tea on the show you love. And I'll see you guys in the next one.